Across America, Good News Edition. Hey everybody, my name is Chip Brewster. I'm a digital national host with Nexstar Media. Maybe you're familiar with my sister program, Across America. Great program, comes out Monday through Friday. Hopefully the station that you're watching this one on, you're also able to catch that there. That one covers like the headlines of the day. There's a reason it comes out 5 days a week. This one, not quite so much. One, I don't just do one day. I look back at the entire week that was, and two, I focus specifically on those stories of interest, feature stories, most of the time feel-good pieces. Most other than that though, just like local stories that make you go, ah, okay. And we've got a nice slate of those stories for you on this week's episode of Good News Edition. What are some of those videos? Two stories about cars. One that's like a futuristic car and another that's an ancient car. Two stories about animals. One that involves a seal, not sea lion, and then sea otters. And then a story on an airline pilot getting ready to retire and doesn't get that final flight. And finally, Michael Jackson back in the news, not the person per se, but well, it's about the person, but his biopic. The movie came out recently, so we're going to meet a Michael Jackson superfan, and he's got some fun home video of his own involved in that story. Before we get to those, though, we're going to begin the show today with quite the coast-to-coast adventure. This first story comes to us from our station WJZY in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's titled "Paramotorist Flies Across the U.S." And I know at first you think para, like Paralympics. That's at least my first interpretation. No, para as in parachute. Imagine traversing the company on a contraption like this.
It's not a bird and certainly not a plane.
It's just something that's been really enjoyable to me.
Mark Honeycutt is a former military airman turned paramotorist.
This is it. This is your cockpit.
Now he teaches people like Scott Garland how to fly this concoction.
Stuck by him and he's taught me a lot of stuff and I fell in love with it.
The duo was itching for a cross-country trip and got that chance on April 9th, the day after Honeycutt's brother got married in San Francisco.
And we used his wedding as an excuse to get this trip started.
Once you get airborne and used to your feet dangling in front of you, you'll cruise at about 30 miles per hour, but the views are worth it.
He loves to fly, I love to fly. It's a great thing. I think everybody should give it a try.
So I did, kind of.
I need a little bit more help.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking, but the unit weighs 150 pounds until you're in the air. They made it look easy.
For first timers like me, you can get a little extra assist to learn how to take off, but essentially you get your running start and before you know it, you're weightless.
You know, you catch a side wind, on takeoff, and it puts you back on the ground, which I experienced out west. So.
Unfortunately, Garland's trip ended early. He got hurt on the first day and pushed through until his quad tore open.
His leg went back and he got a 6-inch tear in his muscle.
Honeycutt finished his trip to the East Coast on April 28th. 7 days were lost because of bad weather.
Finished the trip in Kitty Hawk or Kill Devil Hills, where the Wright brothers took their first powered flight. It seemed like just a legendary ending to crossing the United States in a way that nobody has before.
But don't worry, Garland says he will be finishing what he started this fall.
As long as you treat the sport with respect, you'll be okay and you'll be safe.
Jen Cardone, Queen City News.
The one factoid missing from that story that I don't know if you're wondering the same thing as I am. I heard mention that they were going 30 miles per hour. Even if you're coast to coast in as the crow flies, as they say, in a straight shot, 30 miles per hour. That is a long time in the air. I'm sure those views were amazing. Very cool to see that big old fan on somebody's back to make them fly put to an interesting way to travel across the country. So cool story, Charlotte, North Carolina. Here's another one for you. This one from our station WHTM in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I mentioned it at the top of the show. You might have heard about what happened to Spirit Airlines. So I'm recording this on May 8th, 2026. And it happened within the last week where they shut down all operations very suddenly. It wasn't just the passengers who were caught off guard. Also, some of the staff, including one pilot who was set to retire on a final flight and didn't get that chance. That is until his son stepped in and a competing airline. Take a look.
this vacant ticket counter and one last parked plane waiting to be repossessed, all that's left of Spirit here in Baltimore, where the hastily and amazingly planned gesture happened. We went back to the scene of the furthest thing from a crime.
So this is where the magic happened.
Absolutely. This is where we were able to send Captain Jackson off the way he deserved to.
Chris Jackson on the right, here alongside his dad, retiring Spirit Airlines captain John Jackson.
My dad was supposed to have his final flight from Fort Lauderdale to Baltimore.
Instead, passengers on a Southwest Airlines flight on the same route.
And I just mentioned that he was a Spirit pilot and he was supposed to have his last flight tonight. That's all I said, and Captain Ted, he ran away with it.
Captain Ted there on the right, who sent a message from the air to Southwest's NOC in Dallas.
NOC stands for Network Operations Control.
A very busy Dylan Phelps.
So a lot of our flights were actually receiving a lot of stranded Spirit Airlines passengers.
Not too busy to read Captain Ted's message.
Hey, we have a Spirit Airlines captain in the cabin with his son. He was supposed to retire today, but obviously that didn't happen. Is there anything we can do for him? So I started off by calling Baltimore Airport Operations.
I was fortunate enough to get the call.
Command Center Manager Devon Robinson.
I was like the offensive coordinator, calling the plays.
In a very tight game.
When I got the information, I want to say exactly like 43 minutes before it hit the ground. So I just wanted to send Captain Jackson off the same way I would send off a Southwest captain. So I called customer service manager, Lana
Taylor.
He's like, I've already contacted the fire department. We're going to do a water cannon for him.
Which they did.
But anything you can do at the gate would be great. So I called the provisioning department and I asked them for a bottle of champagne.
Which they did. And you know by now what happened next.
So we all started chanting speech, speech, speech. We cried a little bit.
They look at competitors, but at the end of the day, the aviation business, we all have the same goal, is connecting loved ones, creating opportunities, making the world a little bit smaller.
But none of them on the ground realized how small. Chris is a Southwest Airlines pilot.
I was fortunate enough to learn flying from my dad at a young age.
So I'm like, oh my goodness, this is even greater.
Chris and John Jackson.
They were just all incredibly nice, and I can't thank them enough.
It seemed like to me, Seth, that everything seemed like it fell apart and Southwest put it back together.
In Baltimore, Seth Kaplan, ABC 27 News.
I'm going to be super honest. At first, when I first watched this story, I was like, what a PR job by Southwest, like swooping in, getting the story out there. Here I am talking about it. But like, as you think about the details that we just learned in that story, the quick turnaround, the fact that he was on the plane flying to Baltimore when they made the call, right? And then that knock guy to the operations guy to the other person, like it happened so fast. It wasn't like it could have been coordinated by some genius PR person. So I will take what I know now from the story and withdraw my first reaction of PR stunt and actually go, you know what? That was really cool. Seeing that industry come together to honor one of their own, regardless of which company they were working for. So I hope you too have a similar takeaway after we've reviewed the facts on the ground, or in the sky rather. I have more stories. Let's go on to the next one, shall we? This is from our station KSNF in Joplin, Missouri. The Michael Jackson biopic came out, had been talked about quite a bit, and nobody was more excited than this man. This man.
I'm very proud of it. This is my escapism.
This is Chris Cook's Michael Jackson collection, tucked away in his basement in Loma Linda, reminding him of a simpler time.
When you're in school, in high school, you don't have bills, you don't have stress, you don't have kids, you don't have all those things. So, because a lot of people go, why do you collect all this stuff? Well, it reminds me of probably the happiest time in my life. I was very happy during that time. So I like to surround myself with all these things that remind me of that time.
He's admired the music idol from an early age, telling us he'd even wear an MJ-style glove under his Little League baseball mitt. But the spark was truly born from his love of dance.
I didn't walk or run anywhere. I danced. I was always in my mind going through a Michael Jackson video, The Way You Make Me Feel. We're on the street. I'm walking up to girls, going, whoo, hey you, that kind of stuff, right?
Everything changed when he won a breakdancing contest back in 1987 and got to meet the King of Pop himself backstage at a concert in Kansas City.
He was very nice and was like, dance for me, show me what you got. And it's something connected then.
A connection that Cook dove into.
Back then, there was no YouTube. there was none of that stuff. So I'd have to wait for the Pepsi commercials, right, to come on so I could watch them and imitate them. And in Little Quapaw, Oklahoma, trying to figure out, you know, where I could borrow a VCR to get this tape to watch it and rewatch it and rewatch it.
Michael Jackson is back center stage these last few weeks. The Michael movie made a record debut for music biopics in April, earning $97 million in its opening weekend and launching it to #1 at the box office.
I was very excited for it to finally get out there, and the people that don't watch and follow and see everything Michael will actually go, wow, maybe he wasn't so weird.
And while he's never really counted how many pieces he has in his collection, when Cook's here, he's at peace.
I can, you know, when I take a break in between Teams calls, I can really just kind of sit back and admire, and, you know, I put on MJ and listen and can relax. It's like I said, it takes me back to a time when I think I was happiest in my life.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Jessica Scheer.
I know that the story is focused on Michael Jackson, but we just they totally gloss over that excellent home video 1989 of that dude doing some Michael Jackson style dancing. Like, I don't know, personal reporter thought, let's just fully pivot and talk about that stage of his life and how many more home videos does he have? I mean, if he won a breakdancing competition in '87, there's got to be some good stuff out there, right? I'm getting too excited. My camera, come back. Okay, it backed away from me because I started yelling at it. Anyway, calm down, camera. Hey, we're gonna take a quick break. We've got more good news stories though when we come back. I'll see you on the other side. Woo! Quick reopen. Thanks for that. So we can get right to the stories. This one coming from our station KGET in Bakersfield, California. At the very start, I mentioned 2 stories about cars. That's what I've got in this block. And this one is about some ancient cars, not only being kept alive and restored in many cases, but then take that a step further and actually race them.
Hey everybody, welcome to Minterfield Airport in Shafter, California. I'm Anthony Vasquez alongside Brian Blaine, the president of Ragtime Racers. Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Explain what is going down here at Shafter this weekend.
Well, that's a pretty big deal here at the airport. Kind of different for airports, and this is a weekend, Friday and Saturday, when there are just literally thousands and thousands of old car parts available for sale that help us keep these old cars up and running.
I'm about to get in one of these cars in just a moment, but explain to everyone at home what it's like to be behind the wheel of one of these beasts.
Well, it's completely different than anything that we can relate to with a modern car. But it's a thrill to drive one of these. It takes you back in time.
Now I'm happy to be joined by Chris Helling, one of the drivers here of these fantastic cars. I'm going to be racing in this car. This is actually one of one, Chris. You built this yourself. What goes into making an engine like this?
Well, I mean, it's definitely a lot of machine work and finding a lot of things from the time period that will fit the build. This car is kind of an amalgamation of 1915 to maybe 1920.
Okay.
Made with all of the parts from that era to really make it a unique build.
All right, enough talking. Let's get in one of these things and start racing. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it, everybody. Chris and I made it back in one piece. I don't know if you saw me right there, but I was hanging on for dear life. You could kind of see some of the leather on my hands right now. There was nothing strapping me down. It was just my own 2 hands and my legs out front, but it was super fun. The car went super fast. We made a lot of passes. It was an excellent experience. So, hey, if you want this experience as well, come on down to Minterfield Airport in Shafter and you can see all the racing fun here this weekend.
That was cute. I don't know why. A similar kind of thing like before. I just had this reaction. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking Disneyland, like the cars that they have there. And then I'm thinking maybe I'm not too far off because Disneyland has been around for a hot minute. And a lot of those cars would have been based on the technology at the time for cars. So glad that that reporter got to have some fun and you got to learn a little bit about restoring and racing cars from the early 1900s. Let's now take this idea of cars and put it completely on its head. Not just modern day, but future looking. There's something called the, oh no, I'm going to misquote this, but Eco Marathon, I believe is the proper name for it. Shell puts it on every year, and it's a competition for university teams to see how far they can get on a gallon of fuel. And we are going to meet one of the teams whose car achieved more than 400 miles per gallon. Impressive.
It was actually one of the best experiences of my life. All the work we put in together as a team, we actually got a result this year.
Mass Mileage, a super mileage vehicle team on the campus of UMass Amherst, brought home a 7th place finish at the United States Shell Eco Marathon, racing with a prototype car they have been working on for years.
Instead of competing to get like the fastest time around a track, we try and get the best fuel economy possible.
Taking place at the famous Indianapolis Speedway, the race spans the length of 10 miles, or 4 times around the track.
There's a bunch of turns and straightaways, and a lot of it depends on the driver, and our driver's great.
The driver, sophomore Maggie Tiernan, one of the only girls on the team, and she says she became the driver because she was the shortest.
You're basically horizontal in that thing. And my neck was like craned all the way up. It was a lot of fun.
Despite all of the time in the workshop putting the car together, not everything went according to plan when it came to race day.
We got, I think, 414 miles per gallon, and we got that with one of our axle bolts falling out during the competition, so it was really hard for our driver to steer.
But Maggie persisted, continuing to race around the track.
It was very hard to see. The roof actually caved in a couple times, so that blocked my windshield, but they had like red and blue pylons, so I knew which way to turn every time.
The team saying it was such an amazing feeling to see their car go around the famous track. Hours upon hours of hands-on hard work that you can't learn or get in the classroom.
Super cool. And that UMass, Massachusetts. So that was from our station WWLP in Springfield, Massachusetts. Thank you for bringing us a little bit of a look at what could be the future of cars, though the way she describes sitting in it, I don't know if we'll quite adopt that society-wise. Nonetheless, always cool to see what comes out of that particular competition. We have to take one more quick break, but on the other side, we're going to get to the final 2 stories of the show, both of which involve some animals. So animal lovers, definitely stick around. That's better. Thank you. Thank you for reopening, as we call in the biz, the right way. Hey, everybody, Chip Brewster here to bring you a couple more stories for this week's episode of Good News Edition. First one coming to us from our station KHON in Honolulu, Hawaii. This one is a story on a seal, a wild monk seal. And for regular watchers of the show who saw me screw up seal versus sea lion last week, I triple checked. And yes, it is indeed a seal. And you are going to love this story.
She keeps coming back. Ka'iwi, a 15-year-old Hawaiian monk seal, returned to Kaimana Beach, now for the 4th time to give birth. This latest pup arrived on Sunday, turning one of Oahu's busiest beaches into a temporary nursery. Lifeguards and volunteers aren't taking any chances, waving people back and making sure swimmers keep their distance from Ka'iwi and her pup. For many, it's a rare and special moment.
So I was back over there by the park and I saw the green netting up and I thought, okay, it happened, because I see the green netting and I know they closed down the beach, and so I was really excited that I got to see it before I leave the area.
But officials say this is also a critical time. For the next 5 to 7 weeks, the pup will stay close to its mother to gain strength. To protect them, barriers are up, multiple agencies are monitoring the area, and the rules are simple. Stay at least 150 feet away, keep dogs leashed and far from the monk seals, and consider choosing another beach for now.
Definitely follow the signs. The wildlife, anything that lives in the water has first priority.
Officials warn getting too close, especially in the water, can be dangerous. Mother seals are protective and can move quickly without warning. Disturbing them is also illegal and could put the pup's survival at risk. Officials ask anyone who sees a monk seal to call the NOAA Marine Wildlife Hotline at 888-256-9842. Bridget NAMATA, KHON2 News, working for Hawaii.
Yeah, baby animal. Baby animal. I'm just thinking, I don't think I actually said baby animal up until the story started, and then we saw it right there. So that was the whole reason for the seal story. Yeah, it's really hard to resist a baby animal, right? So that leads me, though, to the last story, because for me personally, extra hard to resist specific animals. I informed my family of these facts just like a week and a half ago. They had no idea. I've got 3 favorite animals. I have a favorite animal see at the zoo, favorite animal see at the aquarium, and just overall favorite animal. Overall favorite animal, penguin. Favorite animal see at the zoo, meerkats. Favorite animal see at the aquarium, sea otters. And so there's a sea otter story, and I had to include it. It's coming to us from our station KTLA in Los Angeles. And be ready for more animal cuteness. Here we go.
The 2 sea otters that you see here are brand new to the Aquarium of the Pacific.
Meet the 2 new sea otters at the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach. Ray
God.
is an adult. She's approximately 2.5 years old, found in Monterey County as a 2-week-old pup without her mother. Sunny is approximately 3.5 months old, also found all alone off the Monterey County coast.
This is the first time Ray has ever been around a pup like this, and we were hoping for just a great companion, and it turns out Ray is a pretty fabulous maternal instinct. She has pretty fabulous maternal instincts and is doing a great job hanging out with that little animal, showing her the ropes. We see Sunny mimicking a lot of Ray's behaviors that she's learned from other otters, and so it's been really cool to watch Ray teach her a lot, whether it's hauling out, properly caring for a coat. Sunny is really getting good at cracking open some shells, all because Ray was mimicking some of those things for her.
As adorable and as healthy as these sea otters appear to be, we're learning that unfortunately they will not be able to return to the wild.
Otter pups depend on their mom until they're about 6 months of age. And what happens is without a mom, they do not learn any of those critical skills and will not be successful back in the ocean.
These wonderfully whiskered marine mammals are more than just cute. They're vital to the California coastline.
Sea otters are a keystone species. They can completely transform entire ecosystems by having them there or by removing them. And so otters that live in these kelp forests or these marine estuaries can transform the entire ecosystem. They boost biodiversity, and those 2 ecosystems in particular really help protect our coastlines from strong storm patterns, huge waves that can really impact our coastlines. Not to mention kelp forests and marine estuaries are really great at sequestering carbon from the atmosphere, and so they're powerful ecosystems, and the sea otters help protect both of those places.
To learn more about Ray, Sunny, and the Sea Otter Surrogacy Program, take a look at the comprehensive website aquariumofpacific.org. In Long Beach, Gail Anderson, KTLA 5 News.
I can't even. What a great way to end the show. Sea otters. If I could have a sea otter every single week, I promise I wouldn't do that to you, but I would watch that story myself every single week as I thought about including it in Across America Good News Edition. But nonetheless, I've got to end the show this week. So thank you for joining me for another episode. I hope I've brought a couple of smiles, hopefully not too much, oh my gosh, Chip, so annoying reactions. And I can't wait to see you again on another episode. Until then, I'm Chip Rooster. Take care, everybody.